There's already people in the weight room. So exciting. So this is I don't typically do like an introduction by myself here, but it's already recording. And I'm like awkward in the beginning whenever I post these to YouTube. So welcome. This is our February discussion of Dead Mountain. And as you can see, I have not finished it. Very typical. I was supposed to this weekend and unfortunately had some family, not unfortunately, very fortunately got to see some family, but unfortunately procrastinated and waited until the last minute as I do. So that is where I'm at in the book. We'll just hide that. Dead Mountain by Donnie Eicher. This is the untold true story of the Dyatlov Pass incident, and I will go into more detail when the meeting starts. Thank you so much if you're able to attend tonight, or if you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much. Feel free to start a conversation in the comments. Also in the description, you will see a whole bunch of fun links, going to our Discord, going to our merch, going to the book club link itself, or Instagram, anything like that. So look for it there. I'm probably going to be starting a website pretty soon to lay everything out for everybody, but that is down the road. We will get to that soon, but everything that you're looking for will be in the description below. So exciting. I really enjoyed this book. Of what I read of it, I was really enjoying it, so very excited to discuss it with everybody. Okay, I will be back. Recording in progress. Bring the puppies on.
They sound vicious.
Animals are always welcome. I do have also, it's been a very wild week, but Chris and I have adopted another kitten. We took in a stray that Chris found on a job site, who is incredibly malnourished, and unfortunately he did not make it. So Chris was so distraught. Chris was so sad. I've never seen my boyfriend that sad before. He was so sad, so I went and took him to the vet. They had to put him down, and on the way home I went to PetSmart and I felt so bad. And it's the sweetest cat ever. Oh my god. And so it's been a week. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so grateful. So grateful to see familiar faces too, and I'm just like beside myself giddy. I love this book club. It means so much to me, so I'm so excited that people are able to be a part of this and discuss such a cool book. I'm very excited to hear your thoughts. So of course, as always, I do have some housekeeping that I need to go over. So yeah, the Morbidly Curious Book Club now has over 4,000 members, which is amazing. Thank you so much. That is awesome. This is being recorded for YouTube. If people missed the discussion and would like to go watch it later, it will be on YouTube, or if you want to go back and rewatch it, you're welcome to. I do have a boyfriend in the living room who is watching TV, so if you're screaming, I think it's a Marvel movie. So that's who that is. I think the heat is on as well. So if it gets really loud or it sounds like somebody started a vacuum cleaner, that's just our heat. No big deal. Again, I'm live on TikTok. So if you see me looking at my phone, I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just looking at some of the comments over here. Thank you so much. Getting some comments that people have joined the book club recently. So exciting. Thank you guys so much. So yes, if you need to speak, there is a reaction button here at the bottom of the Zoom call. Just use a little hand emoji, or if you're agreeing with what somebody's saying, I think there's a clapping emoji. If you'd like to do that, that works, so we're not talking over each other. And in the meantime, I do ask that everybody keeps their microphones muted, so it's just not chaos all at once. Of course, if you haven't read the book and you're here, you're totally welcome. Full disclosure, I didn't finish it, so there will be spoilers, but I think we all know how this one ends. It's okay. So let's see. What else? Going to stay on track as best as we can, because we know it's Sunday and we know how obsessed I am with The Last of Us. So 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sorry, we're calling it quits. I'm going into the living room, throwing my phone outside, and then I'll be back. Hope everybody's watching The Last of Us. It's fucking amazing. We're going to have differing opinions. That's totally fine. Be kind to one another. We all know how that works. We haven't had an issue with that yet, but I always have to say it. We still have merch, as Alex is our model tonight. She's wearing the gorgeous 3/4 baseball tee that I need to buy for myself. I love it so much. She looks amazing in it. Oh, hello, Heather. More people are coming in. Okay, let's see. I'm making sure I'm getting through my list. Okay, there's ways to find us. Of course, I think most of you guys have found me on Instagram. We do have a Discord now. You don't have to be a part of the Discord. It is a good time where we just post pictures of our pets, pictures of book hauls, There is a discussion section for the book club. Don't feel like you're being left out though, because pretty much everything that is put in that discussion will be discussed tonight. So if you'd like to be a part of that, the link is on our club messages, but if you would like to DM me directly, I can get you the link to that directly. Okay, is that it? I think that's it. All right, for those who are, okay, well, my boyfriend's watching my live and he corrected me. It's Marvel's Endgame that he's watching and the air conditioning is on. Thank you, honey. I love you very much. All right. Tonight we're discussing Dead Mountain by Donnie Eicher. This is the untold true story of the Dyatlov Pass incident, and I cannot wait to hear what everybody's theories are. I would love to first hear what you thought of the book. We're going to start with that, and then we'll get into the theories because I think that will take the longest to go over. I'm so excited about it. So if you loved the book, I would love to hear what you thought. If you hated the book, I would also love to hear what you thought. Be brutally honest. Let's go. Who wants to start? I'm really turning into my mother. I didn't finish it, so I don't feel like I get an opinion. I did like it though. Yes, Haley. It's a gorgeous picture of you.
Thank you. So I want to say that I really enjoyed the book. I also have, my first like true crime podcast that I really got into, and it's one of my favorites, Morbid. That was the first episode of theirs that I listened to, was the Dyatlov Pass. And I just thought it was so fascinating, and it was really interesting to me to hear, you know, what they wrote in their diaries, and from this kind of perspective, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that's super creepy. The pictures too. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Ask my boyfriend if he can fight. I think he can fight. Sure. Joanna.
I liked the book very much. I found his proposal of the weird infrasound, I'm saying it wrong, those messing up their weirdnesses, making people go bonkers. That sounded very persuasive to me. But then when I've listened to other things that I've seen online, like maybe it was the slab avalanche, that sounded persuasive.
Right.
I don't know. One thing that struck me was they're talking about they found 9 sets of footprints running away, but that was days later. Hasn't the snow come in and covered up everything? How are they finding these footprints? So mostly that was just my thing. I'm mad about the footprints.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of things went wrong in the initial investigation. It sounds like there's a lot of inconsistencies and people, you know, finding a crime scene and putting their fingerprints all over it, which it didn't really sound like they cared about fingerprints, but more so just belongings. It's like they just started moving stuff around, not realizing that this was a crime scene. You probably shouldn't touch anything. Hi, Leanne. What's up, girl?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, living the dream.
Nice. So I wouldn't say I loved it, but I really liked the book. I appreciated the pictures and the diary entries, and I also really liked the last chapter where he kind of started from try to like put himself in their perspective and what the story would have been like from start to finish. What a couple of like riffs that I would say that I had with the book was, this is no fault of anyone, totally probably ignorance on my end, but was like the names. I didn't know how to pronounce them. And so they got really jumbled in my mind. And I was like, it took me some time and a lot of thought to keep track of who was who throughout the whole story. That was a struggle, but that's not a fault of anybody. And then the other thing was, this could be a feminist thing. I don't know if anyone noticed, but he seemed to talk like make a point of like, I'm starting a family, but my wife really wanted me to go. And I was like, but if you were the woman, you would not have been able to go, and you probably would not have been able to finish this book. And I feel like he was overcompensating, like, my wife she really wanted me to do this. And I was like, okay, I'm sure she did.
I'm sure she did, Donnie.
Yeah, that was like kind of one thing that those were my things. Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, even though I had the audiobook and was being told the names, I still got a little jumbled, not gonna lie. So I kind of had the same reaction when I love journalists like this who like go on the site and he's doing the hike and he's talking to the people who are still alive. Like I really respect that. But he kept throwing these facts in there. It's like, yeah, I got a girlfriend at home who's 7 months pregnant. You fast forward a year later, I got a girlfriend at home who's got a baby. And I'm like, Donnie, why are you in Russia, dude? I think you need to be home. I think you need to be with your family. I respect it. I love the work that you're doing, man. Keep it up. But I'm also like, is she okay? Is she good without you? I'm assuming she has like a village with her. He also was very descriptive of people's faces, which I really liked. But sometimes the women, it would be like little details, and I'm like, I don't know if it was that necessary. I don't know if we needed to say that. But I do think the audiobook definitely helped with some of the pronunciation. But yes, still at some points it was getting a little jumbled. Thank you. All right, Val Pal.
Sorry, I feel like a boomer. I'm like, wait, where's the unmute?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, so I liked it. There is a quote that I did like from there. Let me pull it up. I was like, where he said, "I wondered how many fretful mothers throughout history have been ignored by obstinate children, only to see their nightmares realized." And like that kind of follows a lot of true crime ones, because like you see it a lot where, well, they were just gonna go out with their friends and something happened or whatever.
Right.
But I did like it. I also agree where he kind of just left the girlfriend. And even like the point where he said something about like, oh yeah, my son doesn't recognize who I am. Like, you're fine with that?
Yeah. He's like
So
looking
that was
at him on FaceTime, and I'm like, ooh, all right.
yeah. I was like, this could be like a goodbye, like last time kind of thing. And your kid doesn't remember you. I mean, maybe it's, I don't know, but overall, I did like the story. I did also like the different explanations that he went through.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked it. It wasn't like a love, but I liked it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too, but I think I am leaning more towards the like than the love.
Yeah.
There's a child screaming for me at the door. Alex, go ahead. I'm listening.
I really enjoyed the book. It took me like 2 sittings to finish it. I read it on a plane, so it was easy, like no distractions. I really liked it. I thought it was entertaining and really like I couldn't wait to find out like what he was going to say throughout the book. The last 30 pages or so though, I feel like he kind of lost me. He was like giving all these explanations of like what could have happened, and then he was like, well, this is out of the question and this is out of the question. I'm like, Donnie, like you're a screenwriter, like you're not you know what I mean? So I was kind of like, some of it I think he said that he like had talked to like experts and they were like, no way this couldn't have happened or whatever. But then I feel like I don't remember some of the stuff. I don't think he gave an explanation if like someone had ruled it out completely, an expert or whoever. So it's kind of like he's not really an authority to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that part I was just kind of like, okay. And I honestly, I have no freaking clue what I think happened. Because with all of the articles and the podcasts like that we've all been posting in the group, I've been reading everything and watching all the videos and stuff, and I'm like, everyone's saying different things.
Yeah.
So like in the book, it ends with like the whole scenario played out with like the sound making them go crazy. But then now I think you posted the video and it was like an avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
But then other things are saying it couldn't have been an avalanche. So I really don't know what I think happened, but I'm so curious to hear everybody else's theories. But yeah, like, I enjoyed it. And I still think like it's interesting. And the pictures that you posted, I hate to admit that I really enjoyed looking at those pictures because it just kind of brought the whole story like together for me. And I was just like I need to know more now. So I'm curious to see what everyone else has to say, like their theories, because I don't know yet. I really don't.
Yeah. No, trust me, I'm definitely on the more scary, morbidly curious side, where I'm like, bodies. Like, let's show me the crime scene. Like, I don't mind looking at that stuff. And it does help like map everything out too, especially since there are even some theories who claim that like the tent was moved, or like this isn't actually where the tent was originally. Like, I'm equally as frustrated as you, because yeah, I can't really figure it out either. And I would again also love to hear what people are saying, because it seems too that there are theories that, I mean, every theory is just as plausible as it is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't like wrap my head around what it could possibly be. And then a lot of them are very strictly like, there's no way it could have been the Yeti, because this is just, cruel to assume something like that. And
It could have
like,
been.
at this
It could have
point,
been.
I don't know, man. Also, shout out to Megan. Hot sweatshirt. I love it. Looks so good. Abby, I gotta find my kitten. I'm listening though. Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Hi.
So yeah, I apologize if this is long-winded. I have a lot of thoughts.
No, go for it. We're ready.
Number one, I enjoyed the book. I always go into like conspiracy theory-esque books with a massive grain of salt, especially in the day and age that we live in now, of like this weird slippery slope that society has seemed to fall into, which is like we went from like believing that Bigfoot real to like COVID vax hesitancy. So I'm very like, I always treat COVID or a conspiracy kind of theory type stuff with a very, very gentle hand,
Right.
because it's like you never really know where like the fun believing turns into the real believing, and sometimes it can get a little, but
Absolutely.
so generally that's why I kind of only liked the book. Weirdly enough, I think I would have preferred if he had just told the story of the hikers and not like tried to figure out what happened himself. I almost appreciated the book as just like a nice humanization of the victims of this tragedy, instead of just like a mystery. I almost am just like, because I knew about this before I read the book, and I've always been more interested in like the people involved, just because it's like, it's hard to sometimes separate the incident from the people, or like it's hard to not separate the incident from the people, where you kind of, and sometimes they can get lost in it. So I did appreciate the parts of the book that were like talking about the people and like what they liked, and the fact that they were always playing music and like their poems and stuff like that. I could have done without like like you said, like those last like 30 pages where he's kind of trying to justify his own theory. Because like, yeah, at the end of the day, like none of us are ever going to know what actually happened. The botched investigation and the fact that it's in such like a crazy environment, like there's absolutely no way that anybody can ever say like this is for sure what happened. I understand infrasound. If it's anything like when you roll down like just the back windows in your car and not the front windows, and that horrible slapping sound that you hear, like I could totally understand how that would give somebody anxiety and like hurt your head and all that. Like I totally understand that. But I think, yeah, at the end of the day, I appreciated it more for the humanization, and like, yeah, I always am skeptical of conspiracy theory type stuff. I understand it's Russia. I've also seen this. I've seen the Chernobyl series on HBO. Like, I'm not like Russia is not. They definitely are not innocent in all of this, or like the people involved within the Russian state or whoever are not innocent in this. I definitely think that there's something with the covering up of the investigation. I absolutely think it's less to do with like military, UFO, whatever the heck. People come, they saw something and got murdered, and more of like one of our really well-known and really highly regarded state schools kind of messed up a ski trip in like this brand new sparkly kind of Russian Revolution age. We better make sure nobody knows about that, because we are trying to make people realize, we're trying to like show like, look at this improvement ever since World War II. So I think that's more what it is, versus like the Russian government having it out for these kids specifically. And like, if you go to the Wikipedia page of Dyatlov Pass, there's like 3 or 4 entries at the very end that are like, look at this similar incident, look at this similar incident, look at this similar incident. So it's definitely like, this wasn't like necessarily like a once in a lifetime thing. This seems to be something that happens a lot in these really terrifying, isolated places. In these countries, and it just so happens that this one got incredibly popular. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I think overall I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for the humanization versus like the investigation part.
Right. No, I agree. And that's, that's an issue that we've kind of seen before when reading either true crime or, books like this where it's a journalist like reporting on something. And sometimes the lines get crossed of like, is a journalist like inserting themselves a little bit too much into this? Is there like a little bit too much of like, I don't know, like
Right.
the attitude of like, I don't know, sometimes it can get a little icky and you're like, who is this actually about? Are you actually like talking about victims, or are you talking about your hiking trip that you went on and because that's just as interesting, sure, but we got to remember what exactly we're reading and writing about here, right? So definitely, and yes, I totally agree. I have to like sometimes I just need like a break from TikTok too, because you just hear like so much happening in the world, and there's always like 2 to 4 sides to like every story, and it's like I can't keep up anymore. I don't really like this. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to listen to. I'm just going to put the app away for a little bit. And there's actually a really fascinating part that I highlighted kind of to your point about the government, and I'm hoping I have the right passage. It's on page 57, but I really like the way that he wrote this. I was learning that everyone had his or her own ideas as to what happened to the hikers, and none seemed to match the others. I was told tales of runaway murderous prison guards, top secret military tests gone awry, and a tale about mythic Arctic dwarves. One man even alleged that the survivor Yuri Yudin had something to do with his friend's death. After all, wasn't it convenient that Yudin had gotten sick in the middle of the trip and had been forced to turn back? Might he have been complicit in a larger plot? Arctic dwarves aside, nearly all of these theories involved a deep distrust of the Soviet government and a belief that the euphemistic conclusion that the hikers had died of an unknown compelling force have been used to paper over a darker truth, which I really loved how he wrote that, because this is also like post-Stalin. Like Stalin had just died. They were also learning that like some towns didn't even allow music. They were getting in trouble for like playing music, and like they had just been having a karaoke like night every night up until this one point. It's so scary to think of how it was working back then. And yes, absolutely, the botched investigation is something to put a pin in as well. Becky. Hi, Becky.
Okay, I'm always like, oh crap, I gotta find my mute button.
Putting you on the spot. Quick, unmute.
I also enjoyed the book. I actually liked the end, and that kind of last where he sort of rewrote, what might have happened based on his theory. I think that I'm an engineer, so I think that's the scientist in me, and why I didn't mind that he went through all those theories and, for his own whatever, decided if they were plausible or not. He made a lot of Sherlock Holmes references, so that's what he was doing, right? And then just to clear, I actually think the infrasound theory is so interesting because, just to clarify, you can't hear infrasound. So that's why it's so discombobulating, because you feel weird and you feel panicky and you don't know why, because it's not actually anything you're hearing. There's no like discernible reason for why you're starting to feel the way that you're feeling. Because I think they use it as like crowd control and stuff too. Like they try to make you feel so icky and so whatever that you just have to leave. And then going back to like, his girlfriend and all that, part of me is wondering if like, he was obviously kind of obsessed with this. And so maybe he just never fucking shut up about it. And his girlfriend was like, maybe if he just goes and does this, he'll be over it.
Go to Russia already.
I can stop hearing about it.
Yeah. I love it.
That was my thought, was maybe she just was like, just go and get this out of your system. And then maybe I never have to hear about this again. But the one thing that I had forgotten, or I don't know if I ever knew, was that there was a friend who had turned back. I was like, oh, I had either completely forgotten that or never known that. So I thought that was interesting, and just the guilt and what Yuri probably had to live through.
Oh, God.
Besides the fact that people thought he had something maybe to do with all of his friends dying, right? When it could have as easily been him if he hadn't felt crappy that day or whatever. And so, yeah, I just thought that to your point about journalists and how they kind of insert themselves and do they go too far sometimes or whatever, I don't know if I'm interested in any true crime or mystery case enough to frickin' hike on a Russian mountain. But I guess I applaud Donnie's tenacity to try to figure this out, right? And like I say, I think just the scientist in me, I liked that he went and talked to like, the atmospheric science people, and all that. And I had heard theories before about like, they have like a funny name. Is it like Carabic winds or something like that is another sort of weather related theory. But it's just so creepy, right? Like the tent being cut from the inside, like it just feels like it was like pandemonium.
Yeah. Quick.
Just hysteria.
Yeah.
And and I don't think I knew they were so young either. So the whole thing, right, is just, it's terrible. And I agree. I think it was Abby who said, I don't think we'll ever definitively know. But I think the infrared sound theory is as plausible as some of the other theories out there that, scientific, I guess, theories that are out there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the most plausible in my opinion. The best theory tonight though so far is his girlfriend just wanted him to shut up. Sent him to Russia. That one I 100% am on board with. But I mean that makes sense
we've
though.
all been there.
Yeah, right. That makes sense though, because I mean I just read last year I read a sci-fi book about that too, where it is like a crowd control thing, right, where they're able to put these frequencies out that you can't even hear, not realizing it is like that helicopter sound when you have just the two windows down. That drives me fucking crazy. That's just going up like 2 seconds and I'm like, oh my god, somebody put their window up. So yes, and like it doesn't even take all 9 of them to go through it. 2 of them start screaming and running. If people start screaming and running, I'm going to start screaming and running. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll only run when other people are running. So if people are hiking, and they did it quickly, though, because they're not dressed properly, no shoes. And somebody did comment something about that. I think it was in the chat, or maybe it was on TikTok. So sorry, I don't remember who said it. But the fact that it looked like they had just had like some sort of dinner, even like they were just in the middle of something, not even necessarily sleeping, but like the coffee was there and their shoes were lined up. And it just felt like clearly they were in a hurry running away from something. I understand some of the theories, but clearly it was in a hurry.
Yeah, I like your point about like, I mean, it could have just even been, I think we're all we all have various susceptibility to things. So it could even have just been one of them who was maybe experiencing something, right? And then they all just followed, or it was just panic, right? So same, it's like those TikTok videos where it's like, pretend like act like something's happening and see what your husband does, right?
Yeah.
If you act all crazy, then so does somebody else. So
I mean, especially
like a mass hysteria kind of thing in a smaller group, but still.
Oh yeah, and especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere and it's a desolate place and someone screams, just me hiking, because I like to hike a lot and I like to camp and like regular camp. Someone starts screaming, like Pat just said, I'm going to be screaming and I'm going to be preparing for something, even though I don't know what's coming. Right, exactly. I don't want to be around.
You know what they say, you don't got to be fast. You just got to be faster than the guy next to you.
Exactly.
Also, hi, Ashley. Thank you so much for popping in. Hello.
Hello.
I mean, I can definitely tell he's a screenwriter, and I don't begrudge him that. But
it's still good. It was still good. It was just definitely, you could tell. I mean, it's also interesting too, because I think being a documentarian, it's like, I'm curious as to why he wrote a book about it and didn't like film it. But I'd really enjoyed his writing. I still thought it was very good. I love how I said a child is screaming for me at the door and somebody on TikTok was like, oh, I was expecting a human. No.
It also says something about him
Pause.
going over to that other country, going over there because he may not have been able to film it. That's maybe why he wrote a documentary on it versus excuse me, versus doing any sort of film. So that may have been a caveat. So that's may have been why he wrote a book.
Because he was trying to take a picture in like one of the airports, was it? When they landed, he pulled out his camera really quick and everybody like, pushed him down pretty much to not take a picture, which apparently he wasn't allowed to do. We got a couple of hands raised.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and hit Elena. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Elena.
don't know why I
Yeah.
got stumped on your name. I'm so sorry, Elena.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I really liked the three different sort of timelines, or the sections, how we broke it up.
I like
With the hiker's journey, the investigation, and then his journey. I definitely felt like a lull during his journey. I kind of wasn't as interested in the author's quest, but I really like the investigation chapters of after the incident, and what the investigation, how they flubbed it and everything. I thought it was really interesting. And the hiker's journey, of course. But yeah, you could definitely tell that he was, like you said, a documentarian. The way that he wrote it and the way that he set it up, I definitely felt that vibe from him. Also, I mean, I have been driven crazy by sounds that I can hear. So sounds that I can't, I can definitely see it happening. I mean, I would totally run out of a tent in the middle of the snow if something was driving me crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And to think too, unfortunately, probably they might have not have heard anything or anything menacing, even if it was, let's say it was a creature, or let's say anything that got them out of the tent. The strong winds probably were not allowing them to even get back to the tent, which is the scariest part. And that's probably why they were found kind of scattered, or maybe some found near the campsite. I mean, the campsite too is so evident that clearly they were trapped in a place and then they needed to create a fire really quick, because what was it, negative, I think it was 30 or something degrees Fahrenheit, which is just bananas. No, that doesn't sound fun at all. So yeah, I hate being outside when it's like 40 degrees. So I can't do it. Yeah. Rafe is laughing in Pacific Northwest. He's like, please.
It snowed last night. Come on.
It did.
It was 80 degrees here on Wednesday.
I know.
In the Pacific Northwest too, and I'm a weenie, and I'm over it.
I know. I looked outside last night. I'm like, no, come on, it's almost March. Stop.
I think when he was describing the cold, it's unimaginable how cold that is.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't seem like that can even be real.
As
I
someone who
have
lives
been
in Fargo,
hiking
North
and
Dakota,
staying. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt somebody. I was just saying, I have hiked and hammock camped and tent camped in like teens, and that's where I draw the line. Like, no, if it's gonna be below like 32 degrees at night, no, thank you, no, thank you, no.
Yep. As someone who recently was living in Fargo, North Dakota, where it would get regularly minus 30 to minus 40 in the winter, never again. Absolutely never again.
Yeah, I'm a weenie. Ralph, what were you gonna say? You had your hand raised.
Actually, Elena kind of nailed a lot of what I was going to say. I was just kind of yes and Elena's comments that I liked the timelines. I thought that was an interesting way to tell the narrative, but I kind of agree that I also agree that his was the least interesting. I felt like I don't know. Some other people said the same thing. I felt like he inserted himself into the story a lot more than he needed to. And I know I've spoken before about my how unbelievably impressed I am by Caitlin Doughty and Tony Bourdain as two people who fully embrace and go out and explore and want to find out things and everything, but they always keep it about the thing. You get to know them a little bit through that, but they never overwhelm themselves into the story Like, okay, great, you got a girlfriend. All right, great, she's pregnant. All right, great, you got a baby at home. Because I mean, that actually really made him like feel like a dick, you know, that he was out like it's like, you know, my kid doesn't know me, you know. There was a little bit of martyr syndrome, it seemed to be. It's like, look what I'm sacrificing for this, you know. And this is especially a case like this that has been looked at and researched so much over the course of several years. I didn't really feel like he introduced anything new that I didn't already know about the case, because I've always been really fascinated by it. But so it was the subject matter is super fascinating. The book was fine.
Thumbs up. Just one though.
Just one, and it's kind of like this. It's
At an
fine.
angle.
Yeah, an angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those books where when I was reading it, I was going so back and forth with like, oh, I really like how he's doing this. And then I'd be like, oh, I don't really like that much. Oh, I like how this is going. Oh, I don't really like that much.
Well,
And
yeah,
I
he
wanted
did.
to like it.
Yeah, and I mean, he did do some really unique narrative choices. You know, there was things, oh, I was like, oh, that's a cool way to do that. That's a cool way to do that. Why is he talking now? Okay, let's go on. And it's like, oh, that's kind of, oh, no, there you are talking about your kid who doesn't know you again. You know, it's like, I really kind of was just, I got a little like frustrated with the book. I think that was it.
Well, being a dad too, I'm sure that like some parts were really infuriating to read over and over and over again. Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
you have a kid at home. And it's also kind of sad too that like Yuri, I think it was Yuri which was awesome that he was able to talk to Yuri, but Yuri was even asking him, doesn't your own country have its mysteries? Like, come on, don't you know? Because it seems that there was a lot of people, government included, really trying to keep this under wraps. Like, there was obviously something going on here where like you really didn't want to tell people. He was having to rename the files on like his computer. Like, he really didn't tell anybody, like, hey, I'm here trying to explore one of the biggest mysteries in your country. Don't mind me. Jennifer, it's just your brothers. It's okay.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to say I actually really liked the book.
That's fine. I'm so glad you did.
I really liked it, but a couple of things I really loved. I thought with the kids having their pictures, their journals and everything, that was awesome. And you kind of felt like you knew who they were. So I think the theory made great sense. But at the same time, there were those little weird things like the helicopter or the plane that wouldn't take the bodies because they needed zinc lined coffins. So I was like, why? But that's pretty much what I got to say.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it
a lot.
I'm really glad you liked it. And there's comments on my TikTok live too, where people are saying they really like the book as well. And I love to hear that. I do think if I were to like rate it, I'd probably give like a 4 out of 5. I thought it was very well done. And you know, of course I haven't finished it yet. So maybe when I finish it, it'll move, maybe not. But I'm glad. That's always the best feeling too, is when we pick a book for the book club that people like, because we have had those books where everybody hates it. And that sucks. Let me tell you that. Addie.
Hey. I just wanted to say I was really intrigued by the search part of the book as well. And as someone who grew up near the mountains, I don't think I really realized how difficult it would be to search for those people, because I think it was the last 4 they said they found under like 8 feet of snow. Oh my goodness, sorry, my dog's going crazy.
The dog really liked the book.
Apparently, sorry. But yeah, like under 8 feet of snow, and they still managed to find them, and just by probing the snowpack, like, it blows my mind that they didn't have to like wait till summer.
I mean, they were still finding. It's honestly shocking how quickly they did find them. I mean, how much?
Yeah.
Like 30,000. What was, I can't remember the exact unit, but it was a ton of space to have to go over. And then they're just probing, and they were like, well, we can't use the metal detectors because they probably weren't wearing anything metal, and it may not detect that far away.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it was just a matter of them like picking up a piece of clothing and that was it. And then they're like, oh, I think a body's here.
I think this is an elbow. Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
God, morbid.
crazy.
So cool. Yeah. I think anyway, we'll get to theories in a minute. Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry I was late. I totally had the time wrong on my calendar.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're good. We're hanging out. I still admit everybody. That's why I do the admit part of admit button, I think, on Zoom, because I think if you miss a time, you're like not allowed in. So I make sure I have that.
Yeah.
So I'm adding people in consistently. You're good.
Oh, good. I was like, oh no. But yeah, I overall enjoyed the book. I think I kind of share a lot of the sentiment with some of the people that felt like he inserted himself a little bit. I think when I got to the part towards the end, I remember being like, oh, like this guy is like, so he goes back and forth where like he puts so much research and evidence into like the radiation and how the radiation was, double, triple the amount of normal levels of people who actually work with radiation. And then at the end of the book, he was like, just kidding. Modern research shows that that's totally normal. Right. And it felt like he put so much evidence to weigh into these theories and then completely disproved them later, where it's like, it felt like we're just trying to make the story bigger, where it would have been cool to just be like, back then we did think that the radiation levels were super high, but now with modern evidence, like just unveiling everything at the same time. But hearing all the theories in the beginning, I was kind of looking forward to hearing about some of the other theories about like Yuri being part of one of the theories of them going missing and like what was being said about the dwarves in the mountains. I was so curious.
Right.
But the research was fascinating. I was like completely glued to the book. I couldn't stop reading it once I picked it up. It was fascinating. I've heard a lot about it, but it was really nice to get more detailed information on like what actually was found and how they were found and what positions. It was really fascinating.
Yeah, and it's hard with a topic like this too, and I don't want to feel like I'm being too harsh on the author when I say, because obviously like he had quite the task when writing this book, right? Because you're kind of just like trying not to put on the tinfoil hat and start making but I also found parts of it too, like you were saying, with the first person that they had, I think there were two people that looked at the tent. The first person said, yes, this was cut by this type of object, and then it took another person to say, yes, you're correct, but also we have to mention that this was cut from the inside, which is a huge detail. And actually Sparkling Goat on TikTok here was commenting saying that like, okay, well, what if that means something was on the inside with them? Like, what if an animal got what if an animal got in, or what if, and there's so many theories with that as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that, and there's phrasing that Donnie had in this book where, the victims who were, I think it was just one victim who had their tongue was missing. Yes. Claiming that somebody's tongue is cut out is very different than putting in the report that somebody's tongue was missing. Those are two very different things. So, stuff like that, I'm glad that he pointed out. But with the tent, at the end of one chapter, he was saying, and they claimed that, yes, the tents were cut. And I was thinking like, wait a minute, I swear I know this case because I swear it was cut from the inside. And I think it was like 3 chapters later that he introduced that. So it was a very like stylistic approach, I guess, to like writing this. But at times I wanted it, I guess, to be just a little bit more dry, where you just feed me the facts, like just let's boom, 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 like let's just go over the facts. Because I did like the way I can't remember who had said it, but the way he, I think it was Elena, weaved kind of all 3 of these different timelines together, right? 1959 to the hike itself, to the search, to him and his hike. I did like how that, kind of intertwined, and I do think it worked, because he kind of left you hanging with some parts, and he kind of like, you're like, oh, what happens? I know what happens next. Well, what happens next? And I did really like that. But yes, at times I wanted it to just be like, just give it to me straight.
Just give it to me straight. Yeah.
And what's also crazy is I think somebody mentioned this in the Discord, of course, the ebook and the physical book. I'm pretty sure don't fall. Come on. I'm pretty sure the audiobook did this as well, but I did not finish the audiobook in time. But at the very end, page 270, we have the hiker's timeline. And let's see, today is February 26th. I did not, this is one of those instances where we voted on a book that just happened to have taken place 64 years ago to the freaking day, which is wild. I love when that happens. And of course, Chernobyl happened at the end of April, and we're reading it in May. Let's see. On this date, February 26, 1959, the searchers, I'm not going to even try to pronounce their names, discovered the Dyatlov hiker's tent at an elevation on the east slope of the mountain. Radiogram operator Igor sends news to Agdel that the tent has been found. I got goosebumps thinking about that. That's so wild. Anyway, so no more hands. And anybody else wanted to say anything before we start getting into theories? Yes, Haley.
I just wanted to say really quick, I thought it was really interesting kind of getting to know these people as who they were, and not just, the victims of some crazy accident that happened. And the part, I felt a little bit emotional whenever he was talking about, I can't remember the names, but they were talking about the girl that everyone had a crush on, and like they weren't allowed to really kind of show that because they can't show like, I think it was feelings like feelings or favoritism towards like one girl in the group and there's another girl in the group. I thought that was cute, and it just really makes you think about like what somebody else said. I didn't realize how young these people were, and so they were just like starting their lives, and like it just is a little bit emotional, like this unrequited, like they liked certain people in the group and they never even got the chance to explore that, and so it's kind of sad.
Yeah, and it was a really interesting part about that, I think it was Xena that everybody kind of had a crush on, but it was, I think there's a quote that was like, it wasn't the Soviet way to put all of your attention towards one person, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. I guess I didn't really know that. And again, this was post-Stalin. I think Stalin died in the early 50s, 54. So everybody was kind of getting used to this new world too, and seeing what they were allowed to do and what they weren't allowed to do. But yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad too. I think it was mentioned in the book as well that they had to take pictures and keep a journal to prove that they were grade 3 hikers, like they were
right.
of this upgrade. Yeah. So fortunately, we have that, and of course we have that really, really, really creepy picture that somebody happened to snap of what potentially could be the Yeti, but that's just my brain hoping. I mean, I've got like Bigfoot stuff everywhere, man. I know he's out there somewhere, so I'm sure the Yeti is as well.
Mom, I don't know where my little stool thing
Okay,
is.
sorry.
You're fine. Andrea.
Hey guys, yeah, I didn't get to finish the whole book, but I was familiar with the story, as I think some of you are, from the many documentaries that have come out about this. I think one thing about the book was, and I think people have touched on this, just the humanizing of the group and like Haley said, these children, essentially. Like, I just turned 40 years old, but it's just like these kids are so young, and they're grade 3 hikers are these experts in this very technical ability, which is so inspiring that they're so young and doing these things. But gosh, like Haley said, they're just at the beginning of their lives with so much potential. And then lastly, I felt like, what's so compelling? Well, there's a lot of compelling things about the story, but being an elder millennial, my parents grew up in Cold War era, and hiding under the desks for, all the bomb drills. And that's a whole nother thing today for different reasons. But there's this alien environment, and I live in Colorado, and I'm part of many hiking groups, but this alien environment, essentially, that these kiddos are on within an alien environment of just, Russia and Siberia, which I don't know if I'm the only one that just seems so like mystical and kind of scary and so foreign and alien. So
Right.
having this alien environment of being in these extreme elements within Siberia, I just thought that was especially compelling and just adds such, even more compelling mystery to how this all unfolded.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they were really young. And it's so sad because Igor was like, Dyatlov was known as like such a prominent figure in this space. And it's like, of all the people this happened to, like, it's impossible to think that he died, because he was just so successful and loved the challenge and loved, hiking, and just loved doing this. And it's just so sad. Becky.
Yeah, I just to piggyback, I got emotional a couple times too, because just how good friends they all were, and kind of going back to there might have been some crushes and this and that, but they weren't going to sacrifice their friendships over right. That would have totally like changed the dynamic of the group, and that was put above any young love or whatever, which is I think just goes to show how strong of a bond they all had. And I think that kind of bond comes from doing really difficult things, like they're doing, and how sorry, how much trust you have to have in each other to do things like this. Sorry, I got distracted. So I think that was probably my favorite part of the book, was really getting to feel like you could get to know these people a lot better than, in an hour podcast or something like that. They all were incredibly smart. And it's sort of also just sort of this, I guess, sadness about, the lost potential of what they would have probably gone on to do, because they were all in engineering school and all seems to be highly intelligent. Theodore, stop. Okay, sorry, my mom voice. And so I think that's it, because I keep getting distracted by the Paw Patrol tower over there. But
it sounds like he's stalling something. So I'm glad you told me what was happening back there.
I just find them very, despite and I don't necessarily think they did anything wrong, or like it's their fault that this happened to them. But I find even here, like I said, I'm like in the Seattle area, and there's searches going on all the time here, people getting lost in the mountains. And so inexperienced people, and even super experienced people, right? Like Mother Nature doesn't give a shit how experienced you are. And so it's always really sad, but I'm also really always inspired, because that's not something I have any interest in doing.
Right. No,
I won't be climbing mountains. I like to hike and I like to snowshoe, and that's kind of my speed, and that's sort of it. There will be no self-arresting with an ice axe or any of that crazy stuff. Just sort of like, they just really wanted to challenge themselves. And unfortunately, this had to happen, but they were doing something that they were really passionate about, and that they really loved doing. So
there was definitely a high level of respect amongst the group, even between the males and the females, and they didn't really see as like the males as superior in this space. Like they were all very experienced, like you were saying, hikers. And Mother Nature's ruthless. Mother Nature doesn't care. So it's super scary. My favorite hobbies include staying indoors. So even though I've lived in many places where hiking is readily available, I lived in Los Angeles for 4 years, I lived in the Appalachian Mountains, hell no. What I learned growing up is if you hear something, or if you hear somebody like talking to you in the mountains, go inside. Do not explore, look away, walk away. Do not try and be brave. Nope. No. And then you add snow into that. Absolutely not. Not my speed. So I would love to hear your theories. I haven't finished the book yet, so it's kind of hard for me to put my thoughts together. I did find a really cool website. I don't know if I'd be able to share a screen. I might be able to do it. I think I put this in the articles tab, but there was quite literally a theories page. Let's see. So
yes, you posted it. Somebody posted it.
Oh, maybe I did. Here, this one. Okay. So what's really interesting about this is this also comes from the 1079, which is also a book, another book. I don't know if anybody else has read it, but here is the natural and criminal theories. I loved how they laid this out. And of course, the first thing that I click on was Yeti, right? Because I was just like, all right, let's see what this is about. But what's so interesting is they were more so targeting this Discovery Channel documentary, The Russian Yeti, The Killer Lives. I've never seen it, but it does seem like, as he says, a sensationalized hash out of a genuine historical mystery, and how he kind of, says it's just a gimmick. But I really appreciated this because it seems like the most plausible thing that could have happened was weather related, natural related, right? However, the idea that the site didn't really look like an avalanche had taken place there, which is something that really bothers me. But when you think of an avalanche, it's loud, it's scary, it sounds like a train is coming towards you. So yes, that might incite somebody to cut the inside of their tent out and run. But still, it doesn't sit right with me. So I'm gonna have to go with, I think Becky was originally saying this, I think I'm gonna have to go with the weird sounds. But on top of that, I do love is a bad word to use here. I do appreciate also the theories that maybe there was some testing going on, because some people in the nearby area, to an extent, the orange lights in the sky that people were seeing, that is incredibly interesting. And that is something I think that needs to be explored a little bit more, because that would make a whole lot of sense. Anyway, this page is great. I think I did post it on the book club's website. It is also on our Discord, but I mean, it goes over everything from drugs to UFO to the avalanche theory. And I also love that the avalanche theory has apparently been proven because of Frozen. The animated movie apparently is what really helped people figure out, this animation is what really helped people figure out what happened that night. So anyway, this website is great. And of course it has everything, including photos. And then the diaries, obviously we're on the theories. And I think this in itself is a book. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Kelly.
Yeah, so kind of like going off of this is one of my favorites, I have to say, is the Diablo Pass mysteries and stuff like that. So I've watched like the specials and stuff. So I really did enjoy this book. I do think because a lot of it comes down to that, yeah, it was probably an avalanche, and what do they call it? The hypoxic undressing or something that people do at a certain point, because some people were wearing other people's clothes in the end, I think it was.
Yes, yeah, they were wearing each other's clothes, it looked like, or some people were more naked than others. Some people had clothes, presumably after they maybe had passed away or something.
Right. So I definitely do think it may have had something to do with an avalanche, but I also do like the sound theory that they were testing like different frequencies that caused people to go, have anxiety and stuff like that could have possibly had something to do with it. But there is also a movie about this incident. It's a fiction movie called The Devil's Pass that has a whole different like alien time travel situation. It's actually a pretty cool movie I saw, and they were basically doing what this guy, they were going to, do research on it. So, but that's my ideas on it. I think that it could have been an avalanche, or it could have been both, kind of a double twofer, because we don't know what they were doing really over there,
Yeah. This looks terrifying, by the way. What the hell am I looking at? These creatures look wild. I'll have to add this to my list. But I mean, also to your point, I mean, what if they were testing something, not realizing that there were going to be people out there, not realizing that, they were getting like, they were having, what's the word for it? I can't think of the word for it, but they had like subjects, I guess, in their testing, not even realizing it. They were like, well, let's just, put these frequencies out, see what happens, see if anything happens, maybe to the animals nearby or something like that, not realizing that there were 9 people on the other side of the mountain or something like that too. I think I also agree. I do think, that's entirely plausible what you were saying. Ashley.
what I thought was so interesting was when they were doing the research, and there was like he was talking about one investigator who was pushing like the murderer theory, or had realized that the light, someone else, one of the other hikers had mentioned that there were lights happening, and when he tried asking questions about that theory, he was like shipped off somewhere and then came back they said reportedly feeling like a totally different person, and shut down all conversations about those theories. And I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was trying to pull the theories back up if I could, just so we have something to look at and reference. Oh, there they are.
Why were they shutting down that conversation so hard?
Yeah. And who was like the random guy that they included last minute? Like, what did he have? I mean, where did he come from? You know? I wish I knew. I don't. Okay, never mind. Addie.
For me, I think I'm leaning towards the infrasound theory, just because I'm a very, I don't know, like scientific person. But at the same time, there's like stories of like entire Soviet cities that have been hidden in Siberia and only in the last like 10 years have been released to the public. So who knows what was going on in Siberia at that time, especially during everything that was going on. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, most people had a severe distrust for the Soviet government. There was clearly like, I mean, just such a weird time period, the 50s in that country. So it's, yeah, I think I'm with you.
The distrust is there for a reason too. It's not like people just randomly don't trust the government.
Right.
They've done something.
Yeah, valid reasons.
Yeah,
absolutely. Anybody else? Who else has a theory they would like to bring forward? Does anybody wholeheartedly believe that it was the Yeti? Like, is there anybody that's like, okay, jokes aside, for real, I think it's the Yeti? Because I would love that. I know my dad believes that, if anything. We I mean, yeah, in this area too, in Western North Carolina, Piedmont area, there's definitely sightings, and I love it. Some of these actually haven't. Gravity fluctuation, I didn't even looked at that.
Oh no, you're not talking about Nobby, are you, Patches?
What? Nobby?
So that's Western North Carolina's thing over here. I think it's called Nobby.
You're right. Well, I need to introduce you to my friends Tate and Taylor. They have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to finding Bigfoot, and I love them so much. You know what? Somebody actually recently said that. How do you spell it? Nobby?
Yeah, I think it's Knobby.
I just learned what that was like fairly recently. I had never heard that before. So
Being from Florida, yeah, I never heard of that until I came to live in the area and went to a gas station and they were selling Nobby t-shirts.
Gas stations in North Carolina sell some pretty wild things. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I haven't even heard of this theory. I will say the one theory that I 1000% do not believe in is the Mansi tribe. They claimed that they had no reason to do something like this, and it seems very it just seems very icky to kind of blame them. I understand like maybe they had their differences, of course, but it's like they were helping them trying to find the hikers. They were just doing their own thing. Like, it seems very rude to suddenly just point fingers at them when they have never had, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've never had a history of doing anything like this. Yeah, they were part of the search team. They were there to like assist. So no reason I think this one's totally out of the picture.
I just chalk that up to racism, honestly.
Yeah, okay, racism is the better word. Racism is a better word to use that than rude. Yeah, absolutely. So I agreed. Gulag fugitives. Oh boy. Didn't they say there were prison escapes though around this time? I mean, that they were so far out there though. I mean, how the heck would anybody come across them? I don't know. Anyway, this page is fascinating. Oh, was that the picture? Is that the creepy picture that somebody took? Yeah, this one. What the hell is that? That has to be, I mean, that's one of the hikers, right? That's one of the people. Right?
Yeah.
No. I would like to, I mean, I don't know, man. Oh, this is part of the Yeti Lives section.
This website is really fascinating,
I know, right? It's got like everything on it. The stove. I don't know what the stove is. There are no facts to support that there was cooked food or that anybody was intoxicated. Yeah, the drugs, I definitely don't think it was drugs. I don't think Igor or any of those guys would have had anything like that on them. They were very serious about this. It wasn't like they were, just being, the words coming to mind is flimsy about it, but it's not like they were trying to make this a joke. They were trying to get the highest grade of hiking. They were trying to get up to grade 3. Anyway, yeah, website's awesome. I think it's everywhere. Cool. Any last minute thoughts? So typically around the end of the meetings, we do like a little palate cleanser if we're talking about something really dark and demented. So you're welcome to kind of come and go as you please. But any last thoughts? And before we talk about other stuff and I start talking about the next couple books. I love that this was I think this was the first Zoom meeting where I had to have 2 pages of faces. I don't know if it shows up like that for everybody, but that's so awesome. There's like 30 people in here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I had such a good time. I'm glad that the general consensus was good, that people did like the book. That's always positive. I always feel so terrible. Kitty, hi. Oh, that looks like my Hank. Oh,
this guy?
Yeah.
His name is Hank.
Your cat's name is Hank and he looks like that?
Yes, this is Hank Brown. And your name's Brown, so yours is Hank Brown.
What the hell is happening right now? I wish I could
Hank
show you Hank.
Brown.
He looks if you look at any of the pictures I have of my cats, Hank is white and orange like that. That's wild. I love that. Hi, sweet face. Oh my god, look at his little paws. Ugh, I love it. Sorry, I'm such a cat mom. I've got one sitting here in my lap. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming. I love that. I love that everybody was here. This is so much fun. So yes, Dead Mountain, I will finish it. I'll finish it tonight after The Last of Us because I really want to finish, especially with having like differing opinions on the ending. I really need to finish it. Next month, we are talking about the Black Plague, Black Death. Very excited about this. I've also heard mixed reviews of this one. So I can't wait to see what the general consensus is on this. The Great Mortality by John Kelly. This is available on Scribd. If you guys have Scribd, the audiobook I believe is available, which is awesome. Intimate History of the Black Death, the most devastating plague of all time. This is going to probably be my first plague book. So very excited. And I think it has some hands, Becky, and then Leanne. Becky.
Oh, I was just going to share, this was one of the better books that I read this month. I didn't have as amazing of a reading month as I read a lot of books, but a lot of them were meh. But I did read White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. She's a YA author, and I had never read her before, and it was super good.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Super creepy. It's like a haunted house story. And it was really well done. So I recommend that one. And then I've been making my way through Alice Feeney's repertoire, I suppose. And I finally read Rock, Paper, Scissors, which was also very good.
That one's my favorite one.
I just love being creeped out by that woman. It's so freaking creepy. Like just being stuck in the Scottish Highlands in this like creepy old chapel. I'm like, oh my God. Like, yeah, sign me up, but not really.
That sounds awesome.
And then I think I mentioned last month that I started like a chronological read of Stephen King. And so I'm reading Salem's Lot right now, which I'm enjoying.
I heard the beeping.
I heard the beep too. I better put your food in the oven, huh? Okay. That's it from me, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Becky.
Yep.
Sorry to interject, Becky. I'm doing the exact same thing with Stephen King. I started in January.
Nice.
It's so fun. And also some of it does not hold up like I remember. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I've read like 2 Stephen King books and none of them were a hit. Oh, let me finish this really quick. So yeah, that's next month, and then of course, as per usual, we have the next couple months in advance, and I know I've posted about this a couple of times. The Daybell trial is in April, so we're going to read Doomsday Mother. I have heard that this one, there's a couple different books on Daybell. This is the one that the book club voted on. There are a couple of other books. If you would like to check those out as well, I probably will. This one seems to apparently be the best, while some of them explore more of the religious side of things. So anyway, I'm probably going to read a couple of them just to cross reference. You're welcome to do that if you want, but this is the one we are reading. And then of course, March, April, May is Midnight in Chernobyl. I don't know why I haven't read this yet. I'm so excited. And yes, because of The Last of Us, I've been also watching Chernobyl, Craig Mason's other show, which I really loved. I thought Chernobyl was fan-freaking-tastic. I recently found a coffee table book on Chernobyl somewhere behind me with some really creepy pictures. So Chernobyl is also one of those weird fascinations that I have. So I cannot wait to read about this as well. And then I'm going to probably be, we haven't figured it out just yet, but hopefully in June, I'm actually going to be collabing with another Book Talkers book club. So I'm very excited about that. We're debating on a book. So far, the ones that they have suggested are like over 700 pages. Like, maybe not. If I can do it. The last book that I read that was like 800 pages. It took me like a month to read. So more on that later. If you guys have any questions, of course, you can feel free to DM me anywhere. I know TikTok is a little tricky sometimes, though. It goes into like a messages request folder. So sometimes I may not see it. The best place to contact me is Instagram if you need to, either on my personal or the Morbidly Curious Book Club's Instagram. If you're not following the Morbidly Curious Book Club's Instagram, please do. I'm trying to be much more active on it. I know I don't post that much on it, but we had a spike in followers because of the viral videos on TikTok, so that's awesome. So I'll try and be much more active over there. And of course, the Discord is available as well if you would like it. I will post about it again on the book club's club messages page with merch and other things that I have mentioned tonight. So yeah, a quick little palate cleanser before we got like 45 minutes until The Last of Us. I will stick around and hang out with you guys if you would like, but you're welcome to leave if you would like to leave. But I would love to hear what you're watching, what you're reading, what else is going on. Let's not talk about something that is super depressing for like the next couple of minutes. Oh my God, you scared the daylights out of me. Do you have the baby? I do have the baby. Okay. Not anymore. I got a treat. Oh my God. Anyway. I hope you couldn't hear him. He started singing. Okay. Becky still had her hand raised. Becky, did you have anything else to talk about? Oh no, here we go. Okay, Leanne.
Hello. Yeah.
That's so sick.
What?
The picture behind you. Is it Van Gogh? That's Van Gogh, right?
It is Van Gogh. Yes, it is a poster. So
nice.
Don't judge me that it is actually just a poster, but I do love the print.
No judgment in the Morbidly.
We never leave college, I don't think. Stay there forever. But I'm super excited to read The Great Mortality. I learned about that book from, does anyone know The Great Courses? They're on audiobook, and it's just like it's around so many topics, but it's like real experts or like professors who do like lecture style series on different topics. And there's one about the Black Plague, and it's like 13 or 14 hours. It's super long, but I listened to it because I had the flu and the upper respiratory infection back in November, and being really sick in bed, I listened to 12 or 14 hours about the Black Plague, from the Great Courses, and it was super interesting. And I don't know if this book was referenced specifically or if I did research and found this book, but I've had it on my shelf since November. So I'm super excited to read this, but also check out The Great Courses if anyone is an audiobook subscriber. They have a few that are free. So it's just literally free information, just sitting in our phone and our computer about so many different things. Anything that you can think of, anything you want to learn about, it's there. And it is, I don't know if you went to college, it does feel like an actual lecture, and you do learn as much as you would if you took a course. So highly recommend, but very excited for that.
I will say, this is the first time I think I'm opening it. The font is microscopic.
Oh, it's, yeah, I feel like I need to start yesterday and to get through it, because I think someone made a comment about the scientific or the medical aspect of it that might take a while on top of the small font.
What's so crazy is this was like one of the worst times in history, and now in the year of our Lord, I don't know, somebody give me a name, Keanu Reeves, we have now stuffed animals of plague doctors. This is how far we've come. Now we have stuff like this. And I have a plague doctor tattoo, so what does that tell you? Very excited to read this though. Yeah, I've seen some mixed reviews though, so I'm curious to see what people say about it, because I think what bothered people about this book more so than Dead Mountain is it was a little too dry, which typically doesn't really bother me when I'm trying to just do some research on like a part in history. That's typically fine for me. I'm fine with it kind of reading like a textbook. That never really bothered me. So I'm curious. I'm so excited. And yet, did you say the great courses?
Yes, just the great, they have their own website and they have other stuff other than just these lecture series, but the Great Courses is like the company who owns or distributes these lectures.
Perfect. I will look it up then. I was just making sure I've typed it in right, because I was like taking notes on like some movies that were mentioned last time and I definitely misspelled them horribly. Abby.
Hi. Okay. So yeah, I love that we're sharing all the fun things that we've been reading and listening to and stuff. Speaking of The Last of Us and Chernobyl, I don't know if you listened to like the companion podcast that Craig Mazin did. Oh my God, they're so good. I love listening to him talk about his process and everything. It is so I love those. I love listening to those at work. But yeah, because I work in a place that doesn't have any good service. I'm always listening to like audiobooks and podcasts at work. So like I'm currently like a third of the way through the Poppy Wars. I think that's R.F. Kuang's like first series. Oh my God, it's so far, it's amazing. It's so good. Been really enjoying that. It's like really hard to listen to in some parts, but oh man, it's so good. Their writing is fantastic. And I think they just announced that they're coming out with a nonfiction about the crappy things that they've dealt with in publishing called Yellowface. I saw a TikTok about it. Posted a TikTok about it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to read that. Because I like to read, I'm trying to get more into nonfiction that aren't memoirs. I find memoirs to be a little bit boring, to be honest. Like unless I'm super interested in the person, it's like I don't really care. So a lot of my nonfiction tends toward this kind of morbid, which has been nice, but also just like generally listening to nonfiction. And I also like listening to Takedown. Oh, Yellowface is fiction. Okay, cool. I'm excited to listen to it, or listen to it or read it when it eventually comes out.
Yeah, I added that to my pre-orders.
Nice. But yeah, as far as like, I do like also listening to like things that are critical about nonfiction. So like I like listening to podcasts that look critically at nonfiction books. So like the two big ones I listen to are like, one is Maintenance Phase. I'm sure people have heard of that one. They don't always focus on nonfiction books. They generally focus on like dispelling like the like fat phobic stuff in media and in society and stuff, but sometimes they focus on like crazy diet books or like weird quote unquote nonfiction science books about fatness and like dieting and stuff, and like that's always really fun to listen to. And one of the people on that podcast also has another podcast called If Books Could Kill, which just started in like November.
Yeah, that one's
it's so good. And they debunk a bunch of like what they call airport science books. So they went over like Freakonomics. They're currently taught the last episode is like the Clash of Civilizations, which is about like what the like political landscape of the world was going to be after the Cold War ended. And they just like go through and are like, this is dumb, this is bad science. And it's really nice. Like I love critically looking at nonfiction. So things like this book club and things like this podcast are always really in for me. And what else? I've also been watching Abbott Elementary. It's a great show. If you watch it,
Oh,
you should.
yeah. I've heard it's good.
The most recent episode, if you know, you know.
Ralph is giving you a
It's so good. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, it's such a good, lovely show to watch. Oh, it's just so well written. There's all the Emmys. Everybody on that show is great. So yeah. And yeah, I'm excited for Last of Us tonight. I'm ready to cry.
I know. I have my theories. I was right about last week. As you know, I won't spoil anything for people who haven't watched it because I cannot recommend it enough. Last of Us is my favorite thing on this planet. I have a whole Last of Us sleeve that I've talked about multiple. I'm obsessed with it. And I have Riley's pendant on my arm as well. So tonight is going to be rough and I'm ready for it. I have my theories. I have my theories with how it's gonna play. I was correct about last week, so I'm excited. But yes, I love the podcast that goes along with it because they do confirm some like Easter eggs and some suspicions. So I love that. I love that.
The Easter egg from last episode. Ooh.
I know. And the fact that they brought it up means that it's her. Like, I'm not going to go into detail, but the fact that they said like, oh, did you notice this? I mean, it could be her. I'm like, okay, well, now that you said something, confirmed. Thank you. Yeah, I'm making my boyfriend watch it. He hasn't played the game before. So it's really interesting to kind of see his perspective of it. And he gave me episode like 2. I was like, okay, seeing what you've seen now, what do you think is like going to happen by the end? And his theory was wildly incorrect. And I love it. I love it. So yeah, I'm so excited. I think once it's over, because people know how obsessed I am with The Last of Us, a lot of people have like asked for me to do like a whole video on like how I feel about it. So I'm probably gonna do like a 2-hour-long conversation with some of my friends about it because I think it's fantastic though. I'm really loving what they're doing with it. But yeah, super excited. Tonight's gonna wreck me. If you know, so stoked.
That DLC is rough in both emotionally and gameplay. That DLC is like an hour and a half. Anyway,
so good though.
Yeah, no, The Last of Us is like the most recent video game I can think of. Where at the end of the video game, I was like, I am very conflicted about how I feel about everybody in this. So yeah, it's really cool to see how it's going to be potentially modulated from the game. Like whatever is going to happen, and then to see what other people's reactions are going to be having not played the game. It's so cool. Anyway, yes, I'm so excited.
And I'll check out Abbott Elementary. And I have had Poppyware staring at me on my shelves for far too long. So I will start it because I think it's on script. I have no excuse at this point. I need to get on it. Haley, you've had your hand raised for a little while. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I also love Last of Us. I've cried so hard. And my husband works tonight, so I have to wait because we're watching it together. So I have to wait to watch the new episode.
Good on you, though.
Yeah, but it's super good. Also, I think it was Abby. I wanted to start Abbott Elementary, so I'm glad to hear that it's really good. I'm gonna start that. I've been binging Real Housewives of Potomac recently, so I've just kind of been into that. My main thing is if anybody is a Grady Hendrix fan, I recently got into Grady Hendrix because one of my friends really liked his books. So I've read Horror Store and I've read My Best Friend's Exorcism. And he actually came to the town that I live in and did like a event for his new book, How to Sell a Haunted House, which I'm a few pages into. I haven't exactly started it yet, but he did like a presentation, and it was just super good. He was super funny and really emotional. I just thought that was really cool. And I'm glad I got into his stuff because I really like his books so far. I've only read, like I said, 2 of them, but super good.
I really loved Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Unfortunately, I did not like My Best Friend's Exorcism at all.
Really?
But, yeah, and then How to Sell a Haunted House, I did DNF it, and I posted a video about it, and I made it 4% into the audiobook, and somebody commented recently on my video about it, and they were like, bad decision, you're missing out. And I was like, okay, I don't care. Whatever. But good. I'm so glad. Yeah, he was also speaking at a I'm near Winston-Salem in North Carolina. Also, I think a lot of people have been here for a little while. But I did post something on our book club's website where you can put what town you're in. I would love to see where everybody's at because I would love to do like local meetups at one point. So
Oh, that's so cool.
put where you are, because I think I'm going to do like a Mooresville, North Carolina meetup at some point, so the people like from Charlotte to Statesville to Shelby to Winston can all come to more. I would love to meet some people in person. The true crime person in me doesn't want to tell people exactly where I'll be at a certain point in time, but it's okay. We'll get over the fear at some point. But I'll bring my bodyguard boyfriend, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So definitely put where you're at in that chain. Sorry for like everybody's notifications getting absolutely blown up, by the way, too. I was not expecting that influx. I wish I could show you the chart. Like this is and like conversions in August of 2022, it was 16 people, September 25, and then February 2023 is just so anyway. Rafe, how are you doing, buddy? How is life? How are things?
Hi, Fred. I'm doing good.
Hi.
You talk about palate cleanser, Cocaine Bear. That's
Oh my
all
God.
I need to say. That's all you need to know about the movie. You don't even need to see the trailer, even though the trailers are great. Those two words tell you everything you need to know about this film. It is outstanding. It is incredible. It is a cinematic masterpiece. And I will fight anyone who disagrees with me. It was such just like this delightful brain dump. Saw it on like last night at like an 11 something screening. The theater was packed, like
Oh my
packed. And I haven't laughed that hard in forever. And the entire audience was just like, they're like, we know what we're in for. I mean, the name of the movie is Cocaine Bear. We've seen the clips, we've seen the trailers. There's Ray Liotta. Okay, we're good. I mean, I really can't recommend it enough. If you are looking for an absolutely delightful time, take friends with you, go with people, sit down, shut your brain down, and watch a bear do cocaine.
The trailer looked really gory. So
it's ridiculously gory. It's like so absurdly, and like things happen, you're like, that didn't even make sense. I love it. I'm standing up and clapping. Like,
love it.
Well done. It is. Go see it. Go see it. Best palate cleanser ever. Just, I can't recommend it enough. 2 thumbs up. All the toes up. Cocaine Bear. Yep. So. Yes, and also Abbott Elementary. Brilliant. It's a completely talk about a total shift.
I love it though.
But, yes.
I love it. No, so my buddy Peter went and saw Cocaine Bear pretty recently too, and he was like, you know what? This was good. Not even gonna lie. This was good.
It was so fun. I think that's the thing. I just wanted to, it was just nice to go and kind of go, this is so fun. This is so fun.
I needed this.
It did. I did. I didn't realize how much I needed it until it. And I mean, when I saw the trailer, I really needed it. Then I went and I was like, oh yeah, this was lived up to every expectation that a movie called Cocaine Bear can live up to. So
I haven't been to the movies since 2020. I'm still kind of weird about going to the movies. I stream everything now. So last night, Chris and I started watching Megan. And I was nervous about it because I was like, I don't know. I thought I had a clip around here, but I don't. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. This just looks kind of weird. Chris passed out. He didn't get to finish it, so we'll probably watch it again at one point. I really enjoyed it.
So did I.
I was thoroughly freaked out. I was like, AI Chucky, let's go.
Yes,
like I loved it. You know what?
Yeah.
I was like, this is pretty freaking scary.
Yeah.
And having like this, of course, like we see stuff like that. And we also just watched, as you know, because I posted about it on my story, Ex Machina, which is one of my fucking favorite movies of all time. That movie is so good. And of course, like
It's
the
so good.
AI.
Oscar Isaac is so hot.
He's so hot. Oh my god,
He's
so
so hot. I'll watch anything he's in.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's a swoon.
He's like, I'm gonna.
Him and Pedro Pascal are like.
I still think about that movie. That movie
so
is And it's just this quiet little thing, like no one ever talks about it, but if you've seen it,
but the AI
like changes
discovering themselves and like Megan learning what death is. Oh my God. I was like, this is brilliant. I love it. And of course, Allison Williams, obsessed with her. Like, gorgeous. I love, this is a controversial take, but the show Girls is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh, me too. I love Girls so much.
So good. I understand Lena Dunham is kind of a mess. I get it, but man, that show is so good.
I feel conflicted about how much I love that show.
I know. I can't say it out loud, so like I gotta stop recording.
But Adam Driver for me is like,
oh my God. So I said something about that to my friend Michaela yesterday because I'm obsessed with Adam Driver. And my dad has the funniest joke about him because he's always like, I don't understand why people like him. The man just looks like he needs to take a shower, which is so funny, but unfortunately kind of true. I get it, but I guess I'm just into it. Like, you know, whatever, fine. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Adam Driver. Yeah. The acting in that show and Adam Driver just being like this horrible boyfriend who has anger issues is just perfect. It just works. He can fit into roles so well. But yeah, Megan was great. I really love weird AI stuff like that. And of course, I'll watch Ex Machina over and over and over again. One of my favorite tweets ever that I still laugh about to this day, I saw it years and years and years ago. And a buddy of mine who also really loves Ex Machina, we joke about it all the time, but all it said, and it was like all in lowercase, but it just said like, how dare Oscar Isaac look like that? And it's just this reason. It's just so funny to me. I love it. So yeah, we really don't go to the movies. Also, for us to go to the movies, we have to drive like 40 minutes south. Like there's just no movie theaters near us, so we stream everything. So yeah, Megan was really good. And then shoot, what else did we watch recently? We also checked out something recently too. We were also just creatures of habit, and we rewatch everything, comfort movies and shows. Hell, I can't think of. Oh, I posted this in the Discord today. I got 2 books at Barnes & Noble. I went to Barnes & Noble and then opened presents with my grandparents, and they got me a Barnes & Noble gift card. Which I didn't really need to spend my own damn money on it. But I bought, let's see, where are they? I bought 2 really interesting books. One of them I would love to read for the book club, but I don't want to upset people. Madame Restel, The Life, Death, and Resurrection of Old New York's Most Fabulous, Fearless, and Infamous Abortionist. I would love to read this for the book club, but I really feel like I would ruffle some feathers. So I don't know if that'd be a good idea. I feel like these type of people maybe would be into that, but whatever. And then, speaking of plagues, I saw the plague doctor on this. Until Proven Safe, The History and Future of Quarantine. So it's just talking about people keeping to themselves, which I thought was super fascinating. Anyway, so I post stuff like that in the Discord as well if you guys aren't a part of it and want to be. Hello. Oh my gosh, so many people are joining the book club. This is wow. Y'all, it hasn't let up. There's still people joining the book club.
That's awesome.
I know it's so awesome, but it's just kind of overwhelming because there's like 4,000 people here now, and I'm like, I am kind of scared.
So excited for you.
Me too.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to get like moderators and stuff, and like an agent or something. I'm just kidding.
Well, maybe, you don't know.
No.
I just going back to Hollywood boyfriends. My other Hollywood boyfriend right now is bearded Penn Badgley. So if you're not watching the new season of You, just to see him is worth it.
Fun fact about him.
Did you see the TikToks where he surprised Drew Barrymore on her show for her birthday? It's
Yes,
so
I
cute.
died.
She's like so in love with him. It's hilarious.
Yes. He's actually married to the girl who plays one of the people in Girls, Jemima Kirka. He's married to her sister.
Yes. Domino.
I
love that. They're so hot. So Penn actually has his birthday's November 1st, which is my birthday. I love that. That's my cool celebrity, like, you know, nobody else was born on November 1st except for me and Penn Badgley. But I haven't watched You yet because I really wanted to read the books first. But I don't know if I'm going to get to because people keep asking me if I've watched it, and now I have like FOMO and feel like I should, but I do kind of want to read the books. Yeah, he's great. One of my favorite celebrity celebrity on like a talk show gets surprised by like another celebrity. I love stuff like that. Is Adam Scott being surprised by Mark Hamill because he's a huge Star Wars fan. It's like one of the best moments ever because they're just actors and they're like still fans of each other. Like, oh my god, the music starts playing and then he comes out with the lightsaber. Yeah, I probably would have shit my pants too, to be honest.
And I love Adam Scott. I love him so much. Like him as Ben in Parks and Rec was like a very formative, like this is what I want in a husband moment for me. So like I love Adam Scott. I've seen a couple episodes of that Party. Is it Party Down? Is that the cater waiter show that's on
Yeah, that's it.
Showtime Radio?
Yeah,
I've seen like the first 2 episodes. It's so good. He
fun.
stars in it's so good.
It
It's got
just
Jane
came-
Lynch in it.
It's coming.
It's so good.
It's coming back, or it just came back. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
think,
like new.
yeah, it was gone for a while because I think it was on like Stars or something, and then
Yeah, new
they
season
ended it.
starts soon. Yeah.
Oh.
And then Severance. You have to see him in Severance.
Oh yeah,
I was just about to say
That's
That was
out-
part of the pilot episode. and I
that
keep
is
wanting
one
to
of my
watch
favorite
it.
shows ever.
I
And I'm so ready for
devoured it.
the second season.
Oh, same with me, Haley. I devoured it when I had COVID this summer. I watched all the episodes back to back to back, and I was like, "This is amazing." It was so good.
Ooh. I'm so excited. Ted Lasso season 3 is coming out next month on Apple TV. I'm so excited.
Mandalorian is
I
back. March is going to be so good.
March is
so much
great.
Pedro
Like,
Pascal.
All the Pedro Pascal. Just
Yeah. Now, Ted Lasso was like that show that I really needed when I first like got to Fargo and I didn't have any friends or anything. And so like that ain't like this, like the aggressive optimism of that show, and then the subsequent unpacking and reanalyzing of it within the show was like, it made me very emotional. I love Ted Lasso. As somebody who does not care at all really about English football, that show is so good.
I also, yeah, in the chat y'all were talking about a D&D film. The D&D movie, okay, it does look good. I wanted to hate
It looks so dumb and so good. I can't wait.
But I think what's pulling me in the most is Chris Pine, man. Obsessed
Those
with-
baby blues.
He is the elite. Don't tell my own boyfriend Chris. He doesn't count. I mean, in the actors, Chris. He is the elite Chris in Hollywood. In my opinion, that is a hot
tend to
take, but I
agree.
stand by that.
I think Chris Evans is my elite Chris, but Chris
Mm.
Pine is close. I think Chris Pine is my second Chris, and then Chris Hemsworth, and then Chris Pratt.
The elite
Chris Pratt shouldn't
Really,
even
Chris.
be on the list.
I-
Yeah.
No, he's like, he's just so
Bottom
boring.
tier.
I know.
He's so
man.
boring.
He's in a cult.
But yeah, no.
He needs